Hello, hi everyone. I am blessing you with my presence today to go through all the romance books I have read since Valentine's Day is upon us. Some of them aren't fully romance books, they just have like a subplot of romance in them. There's actually a lot of books. I'm going to try to hold it up to show you guys. These aren't even the ebooks. I'm gonna go through them all really quickly. I'm a little overwhelmed, but I feel like there's probably only like 25 in total, maybe less. Starting with my 1 stars, what I consider a 1 star is basically a DNF, do not finish, like you start it and just don't finish it. And last year around this time, I decided to pick up these 2 really cute Valentine's Day books, Love in the Time of Serial Killers and Booked on a Feeling, and I bought them and I was really hopeful that I was going to read these very cute Valentine's Day books right before Valentine's, and I thought the covers were so cute and I DNF'd them both. I didn't like either of them. Love in the Time of Serial Killers is about a girl who moves back home because her dad died and she's like cleaning out the house and stuff. And then I forget what Booked on a Feeling is about. But anyways, don't read them. So, I mean, you can read them if you want. You can read them if you want. But, so that just kind of showed me, like, you don't buy a book for its cover, obviously. I mean, sometimes you can find a really good book that has a really cute cover, but a lot of times it's just a marketing strategy to put out a really cute cover. So now if I want a book and it's really ugly cover, I usually just like ebook it or get it from my library for free, is how I do a lot of books to save money. And then if a book is like super cute cover, I get it and have it for my shelf. Those are just the 1 stars that off the top of my head I remember. I did not finish them. I'm sure there's more, but honestly the 1 star books I just like kind of go in one ear out the other, like I forget about them really quickly. So moving on to 2 star, which means like I barely finished this book. It Ends with Us. I did not like this book. I know there's like a lot of people that love this book, and I feel like it's just because it's a quick read. The plot itself, to me, it didn't really make a lot of sense. It's about this girl. She goes on top of a rooftop and all of a sudden there's like this neurosurgeon up there and he just like immediately is obsessed with her and in love with her. And then she like starts a flower shop, and it's like kind of cheesy because they all have like flower names in the book. The girl's name's Lily and she wants to own a flower shop, and I think there are other names, other flowery names in the book too. But to me, like, having a realistic plot and then unrealistic things happen. I mean, obviously you could go on top of a roof and have a surgeon be obsessed with you, but honestly, like, I just don't, like, I work with doctors and I just don't feel like that's life these days. Doctors like coming and being obsessed with you. Things just get a little dark. I feel like there's no warning out there for this book, but it does have like a lot of like, it has violence in it, things like that, like SA, I think. I might have to look that one up. I know for sure it has violence. The book has violence in it and no one really talks about that. That's something to be aware about if you do pick it up. It is a very quick read. I feel like all Coho's books you can read very quickly, but just because you can read a book quickly to me doesn't mean that it's like a 5-star book. I gave this book 2 stars. The next book that I barely got through was Once Upon a Broken Heart, and this one is literally, this is the UK cover, which is so cute. Been wanting to read it for so long, and it's actually YA, which I did not know. I picked it for my book club and I was so excited. I was like, I'm picking the first fantasy book for our book club. It's gonna be so cute. It's about this girl who is like in love with this guy, and then her stepsister ends up falling in love with him and is about to marry him, and like she's at the wedding, and then something happens and she goes into another world with her sister. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's kind of like the premise of it. And there's like this evil guy in it, but she also kind of likes him, the Prince of Hearts. I'm not the best at talking about plots, but that's basically what it's about, and this book is super popular. I just don't really like YA books, and I don't think my book club really liked it either, so I would not recommend those 2 books. They are very cute though. It just shows you like it's not always about the cover. Alright, moving up the tier to my 3-star books. I tried this one about a year ago too. I felt like it fit the the vibes of this February time period was the book Crave, and it's actually a book in a series, and it's about this girl who ends up going to this private school up north, and it turns out the school has vampires and werewolves in it. The book was good. It was just YA, and it was a quick read, but I just didn't like it enough to keep going with the series. So I gave it 3 stars. 3 stars for me is just kind of like, it's good, but it's not amazing, kind of like a neutrally, like, it's good, but I also am just not super into YA books anymore. You know, that could be part of it too. The next 3-star book is Love Theoretically. I just finished this book. It's about a chemist and she's trying to make money, so she does this thing and she goes on dates with people. I've been on multiple dates with this dude who is like bringing her to family events, and at the events there's a mysterious guy who's, you know, tall, big, broad shoulders, paw-like hands, all like the stereotypical things that romance books use to describe a guy, which is part of the reason that sometimes romance books can kind of cringe me out. But this book is super popular, and it's written by a woman who's actually like a scientist. Anyway, she's at this family event, and then she starts trying to get a job, and the person that's like interviewing her for the job, like one of the people on the panels, is the guy she's dating's brother, like fake dating. And he's like, what the heck, like, I thought you were a librarian, like, what are you doing? You're like lying to my brother and stuff. And she's like, I can't tell you. There's just like this ongoing thing with them, and then they end up, well, I don't want to say, but you know, you get the plot. So that was that book. It was just an okay book to me. It is like super popular right now, but to me, it was just kind of like another romance book with just a little bit of science. The science was cool. It made it a little unique. Overall, nothing too crazy. It kind of just reminded me of like reading a rom-com. That's what a lot of these like romance books that are just like mainly about romance just make me feel like I'm reading a rom-com, because they have like cheesy little statements in them. So another book like that that's super popular is The Bodyguard. I read that. It's about a girl who signed up to be a bodyguard for this famous guy, and so, you know, they're just spending a lot of time together, and it's like another one of those books where at first they don't really like each other, but they're like spending so much time together that like, of course, they start having feelings for each other, sort of thing. And I gave that book 3 stars too, because it was just kind of like a stereotypical book to me. The next book, I know I'm like bashing all these popular books, but Happy Place by Emily Henry. I gave this book 3 stars. Should I start using the characters' first names? Because I'm just saying a girl, a girl, a girl, a guy. Harriet and Wynne. Harriet and Wynne were together. They were like engaged or something. Then they have an annual friend get together on a beachy island. They break up. Don't tell anyone. Now it's time for their friendship reunion on this island, and they decide to fake their relationship to all their friends and like continue to be in the same, sleep in the same room, all this stuff, so that they can like continue on this friendship group island vacation thing. Which to me is just like, why not just tell your friends that you're not together anymore? That would be so much easier. But that's what the whole book is about, and you know, the hardships and the great things that come along with pretending to date your ex. Moving forward, Redeeming Love. I actually really like this book. I gave it a 3.75. Maybe I bump it to a 4 because I still think about it and I kind of want to read other books by this author. It takes place in the 1850s, and it's about a girl who was basically a prostitute, and she meets this guy. He's a Christian, and he's like, you are meant to be my wife. And of course she's like, no, no, no. She feels like she's not really worth much, I guess. He waits for her to come around, and it's like cool because they like end up living off the land, but it's just kind of about how he's patient with her, and you know, he just feels like you are my wife and stuff. So it's pretty cute. I really want to read other books by this author because it's like history and then it's Christian, and they're like pretty good thick novels. Like it's like 400-ish pages, but then it's like a big book too. So I want to check out that author and see what else she's written. But yeah, I gave that a 3.75. May round up to a 4 though, because I did like it. I think it was just pretty hyped up to me. And when a book is like super hyped, it almost makes me like my expectations get too high with it. Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this book 4 stars, 3.7. It was just a little sad. Okay, so this book is about a couple that is very much in love, and they get married, and then he tragically dies, like I think super quickly into their marriage. And then she ends up meeting her mother-in-law in the hospital as she had not met before. And the mother-in-law's like, what the heck, my son wasn't married? And she's like, yeah, I was his wife. And so it's about grieving process of her missing her husband and then getting to know the mother-in-law. And it's sad, but like cute, like her getting to know the mother-in-law, and like the whole grieving process I feel like is really real. So I actually did really like this book. Of course, like I basically love any Taylor Jenkins Reid. There really isn't a book by her that I haven't enjoyed. I am a little on the fence on Carrie Soto is Back, but maybe I'll try audiobooking that one. So far, basically any book by her I've really liked. Oh my gosh, I feel like this video is probably so long. The next book, Where the Crawdads Sing. I love this book. It was a 4-star book for sure. And it's about a marsh girl who lives off the land in the marshes of North Carolina. And the year starts out in 1969, or it might start before then when she's younger, and then goes up. And there's also a movie about this book too, which I'm sure you all have like either heard about the book or the movie. I thought the book was a lot better than the movie. It's just really cool because I love books that like you learn about the marsh life, you're learning about the past, you're learning about, like, the author goes very in depth about different types of like animals and insects in the marsh, and like that's very cool. And then it's also about love because she ends up kind of falling for this guy, but she has a lot of social issues because she's lived in the marsh her whole life. It gets really good. I don't want to give anything away, but it's really good. I really liked it. I read it very quickly, so I gave this book 4 stars. The next book, Meet Cute. I got this book in college and it is a 4-star book for me. It's a bunch of different authors writing about a bunch of different romance times in their lives, like cute little stories on how they're meeting different people. Obviously some of them are romance. I don't know 100% if all of them are romance. I can't remember. I read this book like 5 years ago, but I wanted to add it in there because sometimes when you read like a book that has a bunch of little stories in it, you can find an author that you really like through that. It's also just cool, I feel like, reading a bunch of human interactions or little human stories in one book. And so I love books like this, and I recommend that if you're interested in that. I also think the cover is actually very cute. So I really liked that book. And then moving on to my 5-star books, the Magnolia Park series. I love this series. I'm letting my friend borrow a book right now, so it's slightly incomplete. I'm missing the red book, but it's a British romance series that's very good, and I've talked about it a lot, so I won't go too far into it. The next book, The Guest List. This one is a thriller. I felt like I needed to add, you know, a few different types of romance book. It does focus on the thriller aspect, but it's about a wedding that happens on an island. It's like someone dies at the end and you go through the different people at the wedding. You go through their perspectives. Each chapter is a different person's perspective. So, but there is obviously love in it because it's a wedding. So if you're not super into romance books, this one is probably a good one for you. If He Had Been With Me, this book holds a really special place in my heart. I've literally read it 3 times. It is YA, but I read it like when I was in high school, and I think that's when I probably read it like 3 times when I was in high school. I haven't read it recently, but it has recently gotten really popular. I feel like the girl's name's April. Do I know it? Look how like used this book is, because I've like also let people borrow it. Autumn. The girl's name's Autumn. Autumn and Finn, the cutest couple. They're next... Oh, is that a secret? No, I don't think it is. Okay. Autumn and Finn, they're next door neighbors, childhood besties, stop being friends kind of in high school, do their own things, and then they get together in the end and he dies. I don't think I'm giving anything away. Like, that is the story, but I don't think that's a spoiler. But 5-star read, read it so many times, very cute. So if you're okay with the YA, definitely pick this one up. My last book is Safe Haven. This book I read literally started in 8th grade and I loved it so much. It's such a good spring book. It takes place also in North Carolina. Any book that takes place like in the ports of North Carolina or like little beachy, marshy vibes, I love so much. It's very cute. It's about a woman who's running away from her husband and she ends up staying in this little small town in North Carolina, and then she meets a guy there who has 2 children. His wife died, probably from cancer, and so they're kind of like, they're both kind of in their shells and getting to know each other, and it's so cute. She like fixes up a little shacky house and it's just very cute. So I love this book so much. I've read it twice, 5-star read for sure. And that basically concludes all these books that I've read. The book I'm currently reading is Butcher and Blackbird for my book club, and it's a little dark and it has a lot of kind of crazy stuff going on in it. It's about a boy and a girl who are serial killers, both killing serial killers, and they're like kind of having a competition and also working together a little bit, and then they kind of like each other maybe a little bit. It's kind of like a, I wouldn't say silly, but kind of silly how it's dark kind of vibe, but not like scary dark. Gory. It's a good book. So currently reading that if you want to read what I'm reading in my book club. But those are all the books. Hopefully you found something that you might like, or a book that maybe you wouldn't like. Sometimes I watch a video and what someone else says they didn't like, it makes me want to read it. Hopefully you found something. You are having a great February. Comment below if you have any good romance books that aren't too cheesy or anything like that. Yeah, thanks for watching.